sense the void?
Well, I'm going to tell you. So let's talk about people pleasing. Why might this be happening to you, right? Because deep down, you know that you want boundaries and you know that you want people to treat you well and you're treating everyone else really well. So why isn't it being reciprocated? Well, I'm going to tell you. Number one, if you're new here, my name is Michele Paiva. I'm a licensed psychotherapist. People pleasers tend to go over the top and they tend to push boundaries a little bit. And it's hard for other people to be around a people pleaser because it feels like they're just doing too much. And when you're around a people pleaser, you kind of take a step back and you kind of protect yourself a little bit. You can sense the void. But narcissists and users and jerks love people pleasers because they just see someone who's going to give, and they're just going to take, which is why often people pleasers actually train people to be jerks, believe it or not.
Now hear me out before you get upset.
I'm not saying that you're outwardly trying to train someone to be a jerk, but what I am saying is you're so used to overgiving that you expect people to overtake. And so if people get trained that the way to be around you and to make you happy is to take and take, you are suddenly changing the dynamic of the relationships that you have coming into your life in a way that actually puts you last. And you don't mean to do it, but that's what's happening. That's why you're exhausted, because you've trained everyone around you to take, and they're not giving you a lot in return. Now you're probably thinking, how did this happen? And I'm gonna tell you. So when you were first in your family, born, first couple of years, whatever it was, you were somehow taught that having a voice and being your own person and having your own opinions just didn't matter. And I'm not talking about you weren't allowed to mouth off or you had an opinion and it was challenged. I'm talking about your opinions really didn't matter. You had to be exactly like everyone else in the family or whoever was the boss of the family. So you were taught early on to live a lie. You were just taught that your opinions don't matter. And therefore, if your opinions don't matter and you don't have a voice, you learn to live a lie. And you learn to live in a way that is only about pleasing other people. You lose yourself and you have a big gaping void because you can't express yourself. Another reason is that you just didn't get the love and attention that you deserved. You walk around life now as an adult, you still have this void. And now when someone gives you attention, whether it's a friend or a romantic partner, deep down, you're very afraid that they're going to leave you. Topically, you might say it's okay. So when you first meet someone, whether it's a friend or a romantic partner, or you're asked to volunteer at your children's school or whatever it is, deep down, you really want to make people happy. But topically, you might be someone that says, well, I don't want people to walk on me, or I'm not going to do too much, or people should treat me better. You have all these topical things that you know logically are important, but deep down, you actually have a void. That was there early on and was ingrained in you. So no matter what you're saying topically, deep down, you want people to like you. And you're very afraid deep down for someone to leave you or have any kind of feeling of rejection because you already had so much of it and it was painful. You don't want it again. So you just do as much as you can to try to keep that person around you. And what happens is, pretty soon, you're running out of energy. And this often happens with women when they start to have children or grandchildren. They want to be everything to everyone. And in the beginning, it was easy just to be everything to that one person, maybe your husband or partner or whoever. And then all of a sudden, you had to be everything to him and to the children and to your boss or your employees or your family and everybody else. And pretty soon, you're just giving and giving and giving. You're not getting much in return because all of your relationships, the dynamic has been changed into you giving. And believe it or not, you've trained a lot of people to accept that. And let me tell you why. Even though topically you don't want to train someone to treat you like a doormat, bottom line is when you are meeting someone and you start giving and they're taking and you're waiting for them to reciprocate, instead of pulling back when they don't, you actually give more. And then you get in the habit of giving to that person because then it would be kind of strange if you stopped because you know deep down if you stopped, the relationship might fizzle a little bit. And you know what? In your gut, you don't want that. So you just continue to give and give and give. You actually, without realizing it, train the other person to be a taker. They're not filling the void. You're certainly not filling the void. So there's a couple of ways that you might be people pleasing. Maybe you're someone that just talks a lot. You might actually be kind of physically someone who never sits down, or you just have lots of conversations with people and you tell them all about your life. So whether it's sharing what you physically can do for someone or emotional and verbal sharing, the bottom line is you're just sharing a lot. You're giving a lot. And most people that you're doing this to are going to be basically pleasant, but they're still not going to feel good about it. So they'll accept it and you're not going to notice the difference because you're so in your own space that you're focused on giving and being seen as a really good person, because deep down you want to be loved. Now, understand, it's very important to take into consideration someone else's wants and needs. So if you're in a relationship, it's a two-way street. You want the other person to be happy, obviously, but not at the expense of yourself all of the time. And that's the difference with people pleasers, is that it's always about the other person, and it's never about them. And here's the really odd thing. If you're a people pleaser, this has probably backfired on you. You might have done so much for someone, or people expect so much of you, that when you slow down or stop, they actually get mad at you. And then it's like, really? And all of a sudden, you're realizing that your entire dynamic of that relationship was built upon you giving. And all of those wounds from childhood feel really fresh now. You might not actually place it to a childhood wound, but you feel really bad. It really takes a lot of self-love. Just you existing is enough. And of course, we want to be considerate, we want to be compassionate, but we also want to have self-love. And the more you focus on what is working for you in your life and having an equal relationship, you won't feel the need to use people-pleasing as a way to get someone in because you're afraid of them leaving. You'll have so much more energy for yourself when you actually can focus on pleasing yourself and not externally focused all of the time. So I have another video that I think you're going to really love, and it's going to really help you. So go ahead and click it.